Hey guys, so today I want to actually go through the Trunks training event here. This is a pretty good addition to the game, I think, because it teaches players how to actually play the game. From what we know, I haven't dived into this at all, but they have shown screenshots of this event actually teaching you how to charge step. So I think it's pretty good. It'll teach people to how to play the game right away, so that they don't get, I guess, sort of overwhelmed by the different techniques that you can do in this game. So let's go ahead and check this out. I might be cutting here and there in this video because I don't want this to go for too long, but I do want to go through this and maybe supplement what they're teaching you guys with some additional tips. Obviously, this is more so geared towards beginners, but for people who have obviously been playing the game for a long time, you guys can chip in the comments as well. All right, so Trunks, let's go. So Path to Victory Battle Lecture. What's the Learn with Trunks Path to Victory Battle Lecture? Yep. You actually do get rewards. I think it's, what is it, 200 CC or 300 CC for doing this? So, all right, learn the basics of training. What can you learn from the Learn with Trunks Path to Victory Battle Lecture? All right. Okay, so this is like the very basics. Just telling you about vanishing. Oh, it's okay, top left is it's demonstrating. Okay. I might just end up cutting some of this stuff out just because I don't want it to go on for too long. So like very obvious stuff like this, I'll probably cut it here. Okay, and I guess that's it. I've prepared a stage for you to learn about each of the things to keep in mind during battle. If any of them catch your eye, let me know and we can jump right to it. All right, so we have party formation. Let's check this out. Review the basics of forming a party. Okay, there are no battles in this tutorial. All right, let's learn the basics of putting together a party as well as a few important tips. Yeah, we know about colors. Of course, elements are important, but you need to pay attention to each character's Z abilities. Yeah, don't worry, we got more than that now. We got Z abilities, we got Zenkai abilities, and we got Ultra abilities. Awesome, and leader slot. There, the tags, and we have, yeah, that's it. Okay. Okay, that was it. I guess this is just him explaining stuff. You'll definitely want to check out the recommended function and auto select. They're super useful for building parties. If you're like a new player, I would actually recommend that you don't use the auto function. And the reason why is because you should learn and understand why parties work the way that they work, right? If you always are going to be relying on the auto function and stuff like that, then like you let the game sort of decide for you, and then when new characters release and you have, sort of a brainstorming phase of where to put the new units on your teams and in your party, it becomes a lot more difficult because you haven't practiced building teams. Like, it's not tough to build a team in this game, but I think at least getting down, how to do it and what works with what is a good basis to start with. Okay, fine. Equipment you pick is also important, so be sure to check the equipment tab of the recommended function. Yep. When you want to throw together a party and get into the action, give the auto select function a try. Same thing with equipment. I don't recommend that people start with just clicking like auto for equipment either, because again, you want to learn and understand why certain equips are good. And I feel like you putting on bad equips to characters could actually be a good learning experience. Like, okay, these equips are completely terrible and I'm not seeing results from having these on my units. So I'm going to change my equips and find out which ones yield the best results, right? That's trial and error is how you figure that stuff like that. All right, we have the leader system now. Let's see. Remember who you pick to be a leader of this party. Don't forget making good use of the leaders is a key to a strong party. When the character is the leader in the leader slot, participates in battle, a leader bonus will automatically activate during battle. Yep, applies Z abilities and stuff. Okay, we got that. Ultra rarity characters have unique abilities called ultra abilities that no other characters have. Abilities like these have different effects depending on who you pick as the leader, so make sure you pay attention. Okay. Master powering up your characters. Okay. This is just like soul boosting and stuff like that. Zenkaiing. Raising power level. Okay. Yep. And then limit breaking. Okay. I'm going to go more towards like the actual fighting aspect here. There's basics and then there's advanced. Let's see what they say about... I'm actually kind of... What's in here about damage? Sure, let's just check this. Element factors, difference in damage between favorable and unfavorable matchups. Sure, let's just see what they say here. And then I'll check out the Rising Rush one, and then I think we'll jump into some of the advanced ones. Just to see what kind of techniques they actually teach you here. All right, so here we go. Land and attack. What about difference in damage to element factors? Yep. Let's read the effect that element... Yeah, it's just colors. We got it. Yep. Yep. Okay. Some abilities can even nullify element disadvantage, so you need to watch your opponent very carefully. Sure. It's like, you know, some like the OG Purple Broly had type neutrality whenever he switched in. Okay, you'll learn. What does this say? Just play it again. I don't want to play it again. No, let's quit. All right, so tap shot, tackle, quick attack. Learn all about rising rushes. Okay, let's see. The most powerful ability in the entire game. Here we go. Land a Rising Rush. If you use what you learn in this tutorial, you'll be able to land Rising Rushes and deal huge damage to your opponent. Learn the proper time to activate Rising Rush. Rising Rush is an incredible attack that does massive damage to an opponent. There's a trick to making sure it lands. Watch carefully so you can get a feel for the timing to use a Rising Rush right after a vanishing step. If you're at long range from your opponent, it'll take more time for attacks to reach them. That gives them plenty of time to dodge. Attack your opponent to make them use the vanishing step, then activate your Rising Rush. I mean, sure, but it's not that easy, right? We know this. The more of your allies who have been defeated, the more damage your Rising Rush will do. Your opponent can counterattack with a special move arts right up until the attack lands, so you've got to watch out. Okay. I mean, I think what they should probably do with this... Actually, let me just see. Is there an... Let's see. Is there an advanced tab for Rising Rush? Oh, there is. Okay, what is this? Landing Rising Rush. Oh, let's actually do this. I'm gonna see what they say about Rising Rush here, and then I'll give a little bit of extra commentary. Because maybe they're going to say what I'm going to say in here. We'll see. Using Rising Rush when your opponent uses an arts attack will let you ignore the attack and land your Rising Rush. Are you ready for some advanced training on how to land those Rising Rushes? Activate your Rising Rush when your opponent uses an arts attack. If you do that, your opponent won't have time to switch characters and you're guaranteed to hit them. These techniques are especially helpful if there's a particular character that you're trying to knock out of the match. With this technique, just aim for when your opponent uses a basic arts attack. You should have plenty of opportunities. Even if you wait for your opponent to act first, you'll be able to nullify their arts attack and land a rush on the character. Well, watch a demonstration first, so pay attention to learn the timing for activating a Rising Rush. You can nullify your opponent's... Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that's a good thing to teach, but it's pretty tough. I mean, a lot of players... Because... You see the opponent react, like doing an action, and it's not like it's always going to be a long-range blast like that, right? Could be a strike, could be a tap attack. So you have to be really careful when you do this, because if your opponent is at long range and you're like waiting for them to do anything to rush them, keep in mind it's not always going to be a blast. Oh, and this is important. If you activate a Rising Rush after your opponent has used a special move or ultimate arts, the arts attack may end up winning. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is good to know. Yeah, like this. I'm actually really glad that they showed this. I think something that tutorials, especially in this game, should do is they should show you what not to do, like they just did right there. That is a very good thing. And that's actually what I was going to say about the first beginner Rising Rush tab, and that was they showed us how to, like, you know, make the opponent vanish and then land a rush. But they should have showed what happens if your opponent switches and vanishes your rush, or what happens if your opponent attacks you with like a blue card or something to cancel your rush. Like, there's a lot of instances that would make that not work. So I think at least what they should do is, if they're not going to show you that like in a demonstration, they should at least mention it and be like, there's ways that your opponent can vanish, so this is not always a guarantee. You'll need to check a character's details and see what kind of special move or ultimate arts they have. It's finally time for the real thing. Okay, let's do this. As soon as your opponent uses a blast or strike arts, activate your Rising Rush. Well, hold on. If they're using a strike from long range, you don't want to rush because they can cancel it. So let's make that very clear here. All right, so we're gonna wait for them to do something. I'll rush them here. If we go into mid-range, does it become a strike? I guess it might. I'm actually glad that they showed that, though. That's a pretty powerful move. Like, if long range using your rush on opponent's blast there. Okay, cool. Let's quit that. Let's go back to the basics real quick. So what else do they have here? How to stop rising rushes. Let's see. This actually might show what I was just talking about, where like you can switch characters and then vanish again. Let's see. Predict what card your opponent will choose so you can... Oh, this is about predicting the rush? Predict what card your opponent will choose so that you can win the wager and stop their rising rush. If your opponent can land their own rising rush, you'll be in for a world of hurt. Here are some tricks for making the best of a bad situation. Defending against rising rushes. Get hit by your opponent's rising rush, no problem. You'll be able to stop it if you can guess which arts card they'll choose. There's even a trick to guessing correctly. Oh, really? I would like to know. I would like to know this. The side that activated Rising Rush picks a card from their own hand, while the defending side always has 4 types to choose from. If you remember the cards your opponent has just used, then picking one of the other types has a higher chance of success. But be careful if they had multiple of the same type of card in hand, that they could still pick that type even if it was one that they just used. Okay, sure. It's likely that your opponent will pick a type of card that they didn't use before activate Rising Rush. Yes. Attack your opponent to make them use their Rising Rush. Alright, so let's just attack. Okay. Alright, is he gonna rush me? There we go. Alright, so it's gonna be a blue, right? That's what they're saying here? It's gonna be a blue, I guess. Yeah, I mean... Let's see what else they say, actually, before I say anything. When you don't have a vanishing step to avoid your opponent's Rising Rush, switching to a character with low health can be a good strategy. Yes. Or you can just switch to another character to vanish, right? I mean, that's something that they should mention here. That way, you can keep your other characters healthy and in good shape to continue the fight. That's it? Okay, so one thing that they should have mentioned for sure in this, I think, is that this is a good strategy to have, and I think if you unfortunately end up getting hit by an opponent's Rising Rush, which is never the plan, you don't want to get hit by a Rising Rush, but if you do happen to get hit by one, yes, I think sort of remembering back to what had just transpired in the fight to pick the card that your opponent had not used recently is probably the best strategy in terms of guessing your opponent's card. But let's be realistic here. It's not likely that you're going to guess them unless you, like, for example, Ultra Rose uses a green card and you know for sure that he has a blue card in his hand. From that point forward, you have to keep in the back of your mind that, okay, this guy has a blue card until he uses it, right? Because if he rushes you before using that blue card, you know that he for sure has one in his hand. And at that point, it probably is a pretty safe guess to just pick blue, even though your opponent might not end up picking it. But I would emphasize and make it very clear that this is a strategy that is good to have, but it's not going to guarantee that you guess the opponent. I would still say your opponent has like a 60 to 70% chance of having their rush go through. So that's something to remember here. Okay. I guess at this point, let's just go through everything. I mean, it doesn't take it that long. Let's see what he says about this. I might make this a chaptered video where I'll put in like the different timestamps as well so you guys can navigate easily. Learn how to bait an opponent's vanishing step. Okay, so this is just tap attacks. Tap shots, tackles, and tap attacks are all performed within the same gesture with the resulting action depending on your distance. When you're at long range from your opponent, tap the screen to fire a tap shot. Alright, never backdash, by the way. I don't know why they showed that. Tap the screen and hit your opponent with a tap shot 3 times. Okay. You can use tap shots to try and trick your opponent into using their vanishing step. Keep in mind that if you use a tap shot when your opponent has just used a blast arts, the blast arts will win every time. Note that if your opponent has used an arts attack that causes them to charge forward, your tap shots won't hit. Yep, that's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy, straightforward. Nothing really to add on top of that. Okay, let's go back. Dealing with tap shots. Let's see what they say about this. Dealing with tap shots. You can avoid tap shots by moving to the left or right. Duh. Okay, next up, let's learn how to deal tap shots. You don't want to waste a vanishing step on a tap shot, so try to avoid them by just moving to the left or right. Avoid your enemy's tap shots by moving to the side. Okay. I mean, something I'll say about this as well is it depends on what character you're using, right? So, like, for example, if you're using Ultra Rosé, who gets buffs from getting hit, then you actually want to purposely eat those tap attacks because they're not doing much damage and it just contributes to you getting buffs from it. So it depends on what character you're using. It's not really that big of a deal if you get hit by a tap shot here and there because it doesn't do much damage. Let's see what they say about tackles here. Tackles, huh? I'm actually kind of nervous about this one. If you land a tackle, go on the offensive by performing an arts attack. Next, let's talk about how to use tackles effectively. If you manage to land a tackle, that's your chance to follow up with an arts attack. You'll easily be able to start a combo. It's important to remember that you only have a little bit of time to start a combo after your tackle hits, so don't hesitate. Sure. When you're at mid-range from your opponent, tap the screen to perform a tackle. Okay. If your opponent uses a vanishing step to evade your tackle and counterattack, don't sweat it, just vanishing step right back. Sure. I guess. Yippee, we did it. That's it, the whole thing. They can counter with the strike arts when you're rushing in for the tackle too. When your opponent counters with an arts, keep calm and use a vanishing step. That's one strategy you should keep in mind. I mean, they should show that though. Like, they can't just tell you that. They have to show what it looks like. Hopefully there's an advanced tackle section. Is there? There's not. Wow. I'm actually surprised there isn't an advanced tackle section. It's like one of the most important things to learn. All right, let's see what they say about quick attack. So yeah, with tackling, obviously, what he just said was true, but there needs to be some kind of on-screen visual aspect to that. You can't just say it. Increase the number of options you have when you and your opponent are not attacking. Attack while reducing time spent moving, and even move into close range from long range. Have you ever been at long distance and you and your opponent just stare at each other? Oh yeah, that's happened, you know, a few times. It's happened a few times. Yeah, I've experienced that. When that happens, you got to remember how to use quick dashes and attacks. Okay. Quick dashes and quick attacks. When at long range from your opponent, you can flick up to perform a quick dash. Quick dashes will allow you to get close to your opponent, and attack while also avoiding tap shots. Plus, if you land a quick attack, you can act before your opponent, allowing you to use an arts attack without worrying about them being able to evade it. Yes, but they can counter that very easily. Let's see if they mention that. When you're at long range from your opponent, flick up to perform a quick dash and then close in a distance. Yep. Okay. Alright, let's do this. Alright, we did it. Congratulations to me. Completed. When you attack with a quick attack, it can be cancelled out by your opponent's tap attack. You can't dodge your opponent's blast arts if you're quick dashing, so think carefully before you use it. That is easily the biggest drawback to quick dashing and quick attacking. And I actually have found that in most instances, it probably isn't worth doing quick attacks. So that's just something I'll leave there. All right, let's go check out the oh my god, this is a lot here. I don't know if I'm going to go through all this. Putting it into practice, switch characters effectively, about perfect vanishes, about special cover changes, dealing with special cover changes, about armor, about counters. You know what? I'm actually going to end this video here. We're already almost 20 minutes in. So I'll leave this video here, and I'm going to be doing a separate advanced breakdown for this event here. So let's go ahead and leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this. I think there's a decent amount of stuff that they left out here, which I think would have been important to mention. But hopefully they will mention that within these remaining sections here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. A bit of a different video, but I'll see you guys all in the next one.